3/4 of the time and they're failing. Or that's disengaged. Disconnected is they don't know where they are. They've dropped out of school. 22%, 1 in 5. So school is not working for them. And they're in desperately poor areas. Like, okay, we had the coronavirus. And so her efforts and our efforts are philanthropic. That's what got her involved. They don't have computers. They don't have connectivity. They have problems getting food. They get food in school. They need the food in school because they don't have adequate food. Okay, and this is Connecticut, and it's right up the road. So we bought these kids, 60,000 kids, computers, and then we're trying to get connectivity and so on. And you start to see this. Okay, this is the same world. Now, I live in one neighborhood with my community, and then there's the other. They don't understand each other. They haven't lived there. They haven't empathized, and in fact, there are resentments on both sides, right? Like the people in my community, they don't feel they're very rich by comparison to those other people, but also to take care of their families, to educate them. They have their own challenges, the work-life balance and so on. They have their financial insecurities and so on. So that's what they're focused on. And then they might think, oh, these other people, they're not taking care of themselves. Why don't they pull themselves up by the bootstraps? Do you know what it's like to be a kid growing up in that neighborhood and trying to, what are you talking about? You can't pull yourself up from, you know, there's a problem. There's not enough food. There are gangs. Even walking to school, past neighborhoods that are gang shootings, and there are not enough police to do it. Okay, so these two worlds exist, and then the others say, you know, well, here we are, and you're walking around with your fancy cars and your, you know, fancy clothes, and so on, and we're suffering. I mean, come on. And so they don't understand each other and so on. We have to get past this. We have to be in it together, I think. Otherwise, we're going to kill each other.
What's the main thing that both sides need, whether that be in Greenwich, Connecticut, or in the USA on different sides? Is it empathy? Is it compassion? Is it awareness? What is that thing that both sides need in any rich-poor dichotomy?
Well, there's the intellectual thing they need and the emotional thing they need. Okay, intellectually, what they need is, well, maybe emotionally, the fear and the understanding that where this will lead will be devastating, okay, if they don't deal with it. If they don't deal with it together, and you look at history, you need the fear. You can't give people necessarily empathy or love. You know, we could say, oh, they should care about the other person. Okay, that's too much to ask. I mean, yeah, you know, that's not realistic. Okay, but realistic is that if we all don't get it together, we're going to have, you know, you like all that stuff you got, but you ain't going to have it anymore. And all of a sudden, the things that are the most basic in terms of take care of it. And then if you start to realize that it's productive, like what do you need to be successful? It's all I had when I grow up was I had parents who loved me and took care of me. I went to a public school, okay, and I came out to a world in which there was equal opportunity. Those are the only things you need. And you know, healthcare, but when you're young, you don't need much of that. So those are the only things you need. Now, even in these communities, sometimes you can't get the parents, but you can get people who care about them, their teachers and so on. But you have to strive for equal opportunity.
Do you think we have equal opportunity?
No, of course not. Let me look at any of the statistics. I mean, I can give you examples. I studied this issue because first when populism started to come around, and I thought I needed to study. Donald Trump is a populist. And then it's all around the world. And I needed to study the different quintiles, the top 20%, next 20%, and so on. And I saw what the pictures of the lives of the majority of people are like, the bottom 60%. And equal opportunity, put that in perspective. Those in the top 40% spend on average on their kids' education 5 times as much money as those in the bottom 60%. It's a self-perpetuating thing. It's not a bad thing. Those parents care about having their kids well educated. So because they do and they take care of their kids, they're taking care of their kids, they're getting them well educated and so on. But not being well educated means you're not going to have equal opportunity. And so as that gets narrower and narrower, you have that phenomenon that so there are a lot of ways you can measure whether there's equal opportunity. But I don't even know we can agree that we should have equal opportunity. I mean, like I'd almost take a poll, of the American people and see, could we agree that we should have equal opportunity? Okay, that'd be an accomplishment. Okay, then if you could do that, then we say, can I take metrics, by which key performance indicators, by which I could say, how are we doing on the equal opportunity goal? And then monitor that, and you say, it's getting better, or it's getting worse. If we could do that, we'd accomplish a lot.
Yeah, we got to get to that point first. This is fascinating.
What would you say if you could make the decisions on 3 things to change moving forward with the debt crisis, with the internal wars and conflicts from people, and this bottom that needs to rise up? What would you do if you could kind of snap your fingers?
I would say bipartisanship. If I was president of the United States, I would have a bipartisan cabinet to try to bring moderates from both sides, together. I'd have an economic program that was put together by a Manhattan Project type of thing, in which they would people from both sides, not the extremes of both sides, but smart people from both sides would make changes. I have my own changes that could happen, but in which they would both increase the size of the pie and divide it well. And when I say divide it, I mean move much more toward equal opportunity in which people are productive. Like, for example, it's a hell of a return on investment if you provide good education, if you do that well. And I can give you many. If you provide good infrastructure, like, it's really uneconomic